We visited South Dakota in May 2023. Our plans were to visit Custer State Park, Badlands National Park, and Spearfish Canyon. The areas of great interest to us were the beautiful Black Hills Uplift area and Custer State Park, located in the southeast portion of the Black Hills. The uplift was created while the Rocky Mountains were being uplifted to the west, starting about 70 million years ago. We entered the park from the west side and stopped at Stockade Lake, which is the largest of the 5 lakes in the park. We took short hikes around about 20% of the coastline over 2 days. On our first day to the lake, the air was clear, but when we returned to the lake the next day, unfortunately for us photographers, the air was quite smoky due to large fires in the province of Alberta, Canada. It gave almost a haunted cast to some of the photos. We briefly visited Legion Lake and then took a short drive to the cabin at the Badger Hole Historic Site. The smoke gave Legion Lake a spooky feel. The cabin at Badger Hole was the home of poet and author Charles Badger Clark Jr. It was built in 1937 and Clark lived here until his death in 1957. It is now a small museum that opens occasionally. It was a short drive from Stockade Lake to the Mount Coolidge Fire Tower. The stone tower was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in 1939. It is still in use as a fire lookout and the communication center for the park. It's a great place for photography as the 360-degree views are spectacular. Although removed from these photos, the presence of a cell tower, power and support lines does diminish the views a bit. We traveled south from the fire tower and ran into a group of bison. This was one of the several herds that we saw in the park. The rangers limit the size of the herds to about 1,200 animals. In the fall, they round up the bison and reduce the number to about 800. About 400 calves are born every year. This fellow had an itch that he solved with a pillar. Here are some of the newly born calves. Just south of the bison, we ran into a good-sized prairie dog town. They were an entertaining group. On the way to Wildlife Loop Road, we drove east along the North Road Highway 16A, another beautiful drive through the park. There are many places to stop for photo ops. There had been quite a wildfire in this area in the past, but the park was on its way to recovery. Many species of wildflowers were in full bloom. We traveled south on Wildlife Loop Road, the longest road in the park. We stopped near this building, the visitor center. We ran into pronghorns, the fastest land mammal in the Western Hemisphere. This young male by the side of the road was not camera shy. It started raining and we ran into a couple of feisty bison. We drove north along the Needles Highway, famous for the short tunnels that were carved through the mountain. We stopped for a short hike at Center Lake. We then continued north until we reached Sylvan Lake. The lake was so crowded we continued out of the park to a small couple of lakes we found near the intersection with the main highway. There were quite a few nice spots to stop for photo ops. Including at a hole-in-the-wall picnic area. We weren't the only ones that stopped for a picnic. We made it to Center Lake that was shrouded in smoke. Back on the Needles Highway, we drove through Iron Creek Tunnel. It was easy to understand how Needles Highway got its name. Needles Eye Tunnel was a tight squeeze for larger trucks. Sylvan Lake was beautiful, but it was so crowded that we could not find a place to park. We found a couple of nice lakes past the north entrance to the park. We enjoyed our 3 days in Custer State Park. Don't miss it if you ever visit Southwest South Dakota.